Hello, I'm Cody, and today we're going to be making some Peeps Boba. If you want to skip straight to the recipe, go to this time right here. Now, if you're a regular viewer of my videos, you know this is not my normal video style. I'm trying something new today. Let me know what you think in the comments. Should I stick with the longer videos, do some shorter videos, or both? I don't know. Now, before we get started, I just want to explain that this recipe is inspired by Taiwanese tapioca boba. Boba, as most people know it, is those little spheres that you find in the bottom of your bubble tea. It originated in Taiwan in the 1980s. This is inspired by that recipe, but it is definitely not at all authentic. So if you want to find an authentic recipe, definitely look elsewhere. If this is your first experience with boba, I highly recommend go to a local boba shop first and try boba from a local boba shop so you can get a more authentic experience than you're gonna get here. Because this is definitely kind of a specialty case, not your authentic boba milk tea. That being said, it's still gonna be fun, so let's dive into the recipe. Tapioca boba is typically made of 3 ingredients: water, sugar, and tapioca starch. Most people can acquire water and sugar, and instead of sugar, I'm actually gonna use a peep, because that's like 90% sugar, right? Most people can acquire those things, but a lot of people ask, where do I find tapioca starch? This is the one that I like to use, but I'm not really brand loyal, I kind of switch around a lot. I got this from my local Asian grocer for about $1, so it was very cheap. Now I understand not everyone has access to an Asian grocer in their neighborhood, so you can check local grocery stores. Some have started selling it in the baking aisle, but worst case scenario, if you can't find it there, you can always find it on Amazon. Just keep in mind, it's a huge markup. They sell it for like $7 or $8 when this bag is only $1 at my Asian grocer. But if that's your only option, I totally understand. All right, now we're gonna head over to the stove and get started on this recipe. Here are the measurements of each ingredient that you'll need. Now to start off, we're gonna add in our water on low heat. Then we're gonna add in our single peep. I would use yellow, that way the food dye doesn't take over too much. Now we're gonna attempt to stir in this peep. What we're really trying to do is dissolve him in the water. Again, make sure you're on really low heat, like as low as you can go, that way the water doesn't evaporate too much. Now for me, I think this took about 2 to 3 minutes to actually fully dissolve. So take your time. Once it's dissolved, we're gonna add in our first tablespoon of tapioca starch and stir really quickly. We want it to incorporate very fast. Once that's done, we're going to stir until it starts to get sticky, and mine actually ended up getting sticky pretty quick. Once you see it forming like a paste at the bottom, like mine looks, turn off the heat and then stir it until it's completely sticky. This is the desired texture we're looking for before adding the rest of our tapioca starch. Pour it in, and now we're going to fold in the tapioca starch to make a nice dough. Do not stir or whisk, you need to fold it in. We're aiming for a nice pillowy dough at this point. Once you have most of your tapioca starch incorporated, now we're ready to move this over to a work surface. All right, so we're back. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna take the dough that we just made and we're gonna start kneading it until it's nice and smooth. Now it should be kind of pillowy at this state. Now if your dough is really sticky and it's sticking to you like this, that means you need more tapioca starch. Don't be afraid to knead in a little more at a time. Okay, so this looks like it's the right texture, because the dough is nice and smooth and it does not stick to my skin. So that's how I know it's ready to add food coloring. I'm gonna make yellow, blue, and pink. Now, one thing to be aware of when you're kneading in the colors is you might be tempted to add more and more food coloring. Keep in mind that boba dough typically cooks transparent. It might look white originally, or it might look like an opaque white color. It is not. It is actually gonna cook clear and you're really gonna see those colors pop. So if you want a light blue color or a light color, you really can't add very much food coloring at all. So my blue actually might be a little too dark. Okay, so now we're ready to shape our peeps. I'm primarily gonna focus on this sort of shape, like the little chick. I'll leave him here as a little reference. All right, let's start with the yellow. I feel like that's kind of the iconic peep, is the yellow chick. And you do have to be mindful when you shape your boba. You do want it to fit up your boba straw. So you really gotta sculpt these really, really tiny. Maybe have your boba straw out for reference. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm kind of gonna make this in 2 parts. So I'm gonna make like the flat, I don't know, butt. Is that what this is? The peep butt? Which is arguably the best part of the peep. But we're gonna make like the flat base or butt of the peep. Then we're gonna sculpt a little head on the top and just pinch a little beak. We're gonna add eyes as well. I am gonna use poppy seeds or chia seeds for that. All right, so let's work on making kind of the bottom part. Let's see, probably something like that. And now we're gonna try to sculpt a little peep head. So just kind of put a blob on top and then pinch a little beak. Now, we want these to stick together. These are 2 separate parts that I'm attaching. Anytime you want to make a multi-part boba, you do need to use a little bit of water. The water is gonna help it stick. What I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna dip my finger in some water and rub the top of that part that you want to connect. Just one of the pieces needs the water. That way it will actually stick. Now I'm gonna do is I'm going to attach the little head to the body like this, and it looks ugly right now, but don't worry. We're gonna use our fingers and sculpt him a little bit. I think I nailed it on the first try, holy cow. All right, now that he is shaped, I do wanna give him little eyes. So here is where I'm gonna use some poppy seeds for the eyeballs. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna take a clean toothpick and I'm going to dip it in some water and use that to pick up one of my poppy seeds. Try to lay it down in the right spot and then just press it in. There we go, okay. I got it. And you know, here's the great thing about Peeps. Oftentimes Peeps have like messed up eyes, like they'll have an eye down here or like 3 eyes. So honestly, you don't really have to be too picky with the placement of the eyeballs for the Peeps. So I guess that's good news. All right, now I'm just gonna make a whole bunch of these and this is gonna take a while, so enjoy the time lapse. Okay, after around an hour of shaping, I finally finished these Peeps. I did this by myself, so again, if you have a friend, it might take a little bit less time. But I think they turned out really well. All right, now that these are done, we're gonna make sure they're all coated in tapioca starch. Just gonna shake them up in this little bowl. And now we're gonna head over to the stove. All right, now we're gonna take these over to a pot of boiling water, pour them in. Then they will start to float. Once they're all floating, then you're gonna go ahead and cover it, lower it to a simmer, and let cook for 10 minutes. Once those 10 minutes are up, you're gonna turn off the heat and let sit another 10 minutes. Now I'm gonna open the lid and check on how they cooked. I noticed that they're still pretty solid in the middle, so I actually left them for 5 more minutes as well. Once they look good, you can take them over to the sink and dump them out. You immediately wanna rinse them with cold water so they get that classic chewy boba texture. All right, now that our boba is finished, we gotta make our drink. So I wanna taste it really quick just to see how sweet it is. Surprisingly not very sweet at all. I thought the Peep would have added a lot of sugar. I'm just gonna add some honey to this and let the honey kind of soak into the boba for a little bit before we make our drink. Okay, so it's been about 20-ish minutes and we just let that honey soak into the boba. Let's do a taste test. Just with a little bit of honey, that's way better. It's way sweeter and nicer. All right, so now for the drink, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add in the boba first. So I'm gonna pour this into my cup. There we go. Oh, one more. There we go. Next up, I'm gonna add some ice. And I didn't add very much because my pretty ice melted. After that, we're gonna use our Peep infused tea. It's basically Earl Grey and I melted a Peep into it using hot water, so we'll see how it turns out. I really wanted to make Peeps milk tea with Peeps milk. Peeps milk was actually a thing for a while. I think it was in 2016 it was released and I saw it online, I'm like, please exist, and I went to the store, it doesn't exist anymore. It's really sad. This is gonna have to do. So I'll add in our tea. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna top this off with your milk of choice. This is my favorite milk, Chobani Extra Creamy Oat Milk. I just love it so much. It's seriously my favorite milk. So let's add this. That looks good. Give it a quick stir. You can see all the Peeps at the bottom. Last but not least, I felt like we should add some actual Peeps to our drink. So I'm gonna top this with some whipped cream and then put the Peeps on top. That was a lot, that's okay. Now what we're gonna do is just like that. Oh God, I think that's overflowing. Oh, it's not, interesting. But now the true test. Let's see if the Peep actually fits up the straw. It actually fit up the straw. Oh, I'm so excited. You can also see a blue one's kind of stuck in there, but I'm just happy they're fitting at all. I feel like some of them are way too big. I'll deal with it when I get there. And before you go, I just want to say thank you so much. We just hit 400 subscribers and I really appreciate it. Seeing your comments really encourages me to keep going and keep making videos. So thank you guys so much. If you have an idea for a future video or just want to say hi, drop a comment down below. Thanks, bye. What are you still doing here? Well, since you're here, I have a question. Why do the Peep eyeballs not melt? Like, this is me stirring the boiling hot tea and the Peep's eyeball survived when the rest of the Peep disintegrated. I
thought they were made of sugar, but I guess not, because it would have dissolved. I don't know, maybe you can tell me. Okay, thanks for sticking around, you're awesome. Bye.